Facing all the unexpected uncertainties from the years 2020 and 2021, a lot of businesses, they have to come up with new strategies for, to sustain in the long term. I'm talking about how important it is for companies and businesses to view this as a strategic solution for them to build their resources around and, to survive in the long term. So today, Ms. Holly Bostock, Corporate Affairs Director of Heineken Việt Nam, will share us, I bet, interesting stories.
Well, I hope so. So, xin chào everyone. It's really great to be here with you. So, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised today that, when I meet Holly, she invites me to drink a can of beer immediately. And then, so tell me, what is this? Is it alcohol? I don't want to be drunk, doing this.
Don't worry, it's Monday, it's 9 a.m., but this is a 0-0.
0-0?
Absolutely no alcohol,
no alcohol
at all, so you're good to go.
Okay, let's go.
Let's
pop this open.
See? Smells, tastes perfect.
Just like a normal beer, but no alcohol.
Okay, you're not very good at pouring yours.
I know. So tell me, going through all the challenges in 2021, especially during COVID-19, Vietnam is starting to bounce back. But for Heineken Việt Nam particularly, what does these Black Swan events mean to you and to Heineken Việt Nam?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about COVID a lot actually this weekend because, during this time last year, we were all in like the deepest, darkest lockdown, right?
Yeah.
I keep getting flashbacks on my social media like that I was baking cookies and things like this, right?
That was terrible.
Well, my cookies were awful too. But we've really, I think on a personal level, during COVID, we've all been through ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
So some people really thrived. They, took on new hobbies. They discovered themselves. Other people found it really, really tough, a lot of social isolation. But I think similarly then for businesses, some businesses thrived even during COVID, and you think of like online streaming and Netflix and so many, on food deliveries, they really thrived. People bought loads of furniture business did really well. And there were other industries that really struggled. So the hospitality industry, restaurants, bars, they were closed for months. So they really had a tough time. And that was like us for them, the beer industry. We did, see a downturn during COVID. People were in their houses. People couldn't get out and enjoy a beer like they loved to in Vietnam. So it was a tough time. And also all our employees working at home, very unnatural for some roles and some people. But yes, you're right, there is a bounce back. I'm so pleased that COVID is behind us. The government did an amazing job.
For sure.
And we are seeing that recovery. So we like to call it in Heineken a sort of like V-shaped recovery, and we call it V for Vietnam. And there's a lot of optimism and positivity. I think this year comes with its own challenges, right? Input costs are going up. We know fuel is going up.
Yeah.
Loads of macroeconomic topics going on in the world. So 2022 is challenging for other reasons. But I think 2021 was just an amazing chance in some ways to reflect and change. And when I think about us as a company, we actually launched more innovations in 2 years during COVID than in 10 years. So we still stayed really innovative, really passionate. We launched things like 0-0 was the beginning of lockdown, but Edelweiss, one of our new brands, Tiger Platinum. We did things online. We sold more on e-commerce than we did before. We had to reinvent ourselves a lot. And also our employees had to work in different ways. So I think some of the things that we did pushed us to be more agile, pushed us to be more innovative. And I think that's one of the topics we want to discuss today is about sustainability.
Sure,
I think in COVID, everybody cared for their communities, right? And Heineken Vietnam, of course, we did the same. We really contributed to the COVID effort.
Okay.
But, it really made us double down on our sustainability commitment. Even when times are tough, you don't give up on sustainability.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that we carry forward. A lot of good things from COVID we do carry forward into the future as well.
So talking about that, what do you think that after all these tough times, all these difficulties, the word sustainability has become one of these buzzwords that everybody cares about. But do you think that it's just an immediate solution, an immediate response, or is it, it's permanent, it's here to stay kind of thing? What do you think?
Yeah, good question. I think sustainability has been here for decades.
Yeah.
And I think even as a company, we've been focusing on it for decades. But yeah, you see so much more in the news now how, climate change, COVID, everything is bringing it up to the top. Right now in Europe, there's a huge heat wave,
yeah,
right?
That's crazy.
Which at the beginning everyone loved. Okay, I get to wear my shorts, I get to have barbecues. But now it's not funny anymore,
Exactly.
There's hose pipe bans, it's really tough. So
serious impact on the way everybody lives their life.
Yeah, correct. So I think it starts coming closer to home and people feel it, they see it more. And I really notice it in the news more, especially I've been here 2 years, but I think even in the 2 years in Vietnam, sustainability in the news has been much more covered as well, which helps. So I don't think it's an immediate oh goodness, COVID introduced sustainability into our lives, but I think it has made it become much more part of who we are, much more conscious. And I think that consumers, and I think employees, and I think all of society also expects businesses to step up.
Yeah.
Okay, we expect governments to step up, yes, but also businesses, and we want to play our role there. So for us, it's very much how we do business. We've been doing it for a long, long time, but it makes it so much more real and relevant, especially in this changing world where so many things are impacting our daily lives.
Okay, so how do you do it particularly? Sustainability it's to me it's such a big word that everybody just throw around. But what do you Heineken Vietnam? What's your strategies are treating sustainability, and how do you achieve that?
Yeah, no, sustainability is such a broad term.
It's a huge concept, right?
Yeah. It's and then I think as a business you have to reflect. Okay, what does it mean to our business? So for Heineken, okay, we make beer. So responsible drinking is obviously a really important factor for us.
For sure.
We can't forget.
0-0.
Yeah, exactly. But we can't forget we produce alcohol, right? And that plays a role in society. So we would be a terrible, company if we just never talked about that, or we didn't do anything about that, like spend money on advertising on responsible drinking, or coming up with innovations to support more healthy choices. So that's one part of our sustainability agenda because we're an alcohol producer. But of course, the environment and society, those are parts of our sustainability agenda which are critical. We've got 6 breweries here in Vietnam, so we're a manufacturer. So of course we use energy, of course we use water, of course we produce waste. So all of these things we have to manage appropriately and be really ambitious in how we deal with that, because we want to grow as a company, but we want to have a net zero impact. That's how we explain it.
Okay.
So that's why environment is really important, also how we use water. And then social, so that's really about how we are as part of our communities. With 6 breweries and we've got 9 sales offices, we are part of the communities and we want to contribute. So that might be through employment, that might be through working with suppliers, that might be being part of the communities at needy times of the year, for example. So it is broad,
It is broad, okay.
But for us, it's about responsibility, and that's responsible drinking. It's about environment and going on this path to net zero. And it's about society and making a kind of a fair and inclusive world that we want to be part of. So it's broad, but we try and find the ones that are most relevant to our products, but also the most relevant to our business model, and then we embed it. For example, I love Save the Animals, but that's not then for Heineken, right? I do that in my free time. So we have to choose as a company what really is relevant to your product and to your company.
You name so many aspects that Heineken care for, but could you please walk me through one of the specific things that you do that you're trying to be sustainable, that kind of thing?
Okay, so let's take one of the aspects. So let's talk about water. Right?
Okay.
Because beer is actually 95% water.
Yes,
okay?
That's why we drink it.
Yeah. So it's really important to our product that we take care of water sources, but we also use water in the breweries, in our manufacturing processes. So when we think about water for Heineken, we have what we call the water triangle, okay? So first is how efficient can you be? You know, we want to use as less water as possible.
Yes,
right?
we agree on that.
So since we started 30 years ago, the amount of water to brew a beer is now 3 times less. Breweries are some of the most water efficient in all of Asia for Heineken.
Wow.
We only use 2.65 liters of water to brew a liter of beer, and that includes the water in the beer. So if you compare that to other industries, meat industry,
clothing,
fashion industry,
yeah.
actually it's very efficient. But
Yeah.
we always keep improving how efficient we can be to use as less as possible. Then the other part of the triangle is what we call circularity. So when we use water in the breweries, of course we have wastewater that goes out.
Yes.
So we have wastewater treatment plants in all of the breweries that treats the water to a really grade A standard above that of regulation, which means it can go back into rivers and nature, and it doesn't cause harm. So that's about making sure that we close the loop on the water.
Okay.
And the last is what we call balancing. So if you imagine, I told you that there's lots of water in beer, and that we've got beers for sale all across the country. So that's a lot of water on shelves, effectively.
Yeah.
So we want to put back into nature the water that we've taken, if that makes sense.
How does that work?
Complicated. So actually you have to find programs that put water back into nature. Now, some of the ways you can do that is through like reforestation, through restoring wetlands.
Yes.
So nature, so we think of trees as, you know, oxygen and saving the environment, but actually they put a lot of water into the ground and into the roots and into the water basins. So actually last week we just launched a really big partnership together with WWF Vietnam. And actually what we're going to do across 3 water basins where the water flows down to where our breweries are is we're doing programs like on reforestation, how communities use water, for example, the kind of pesticides they might use, to try and replenish back more water into the water basins, enough that covers the water in the beer. You see? So it's like a sort of big loop. So that's just water, and that's, you can see how many things we're trying to do.
Yeah. For the story you told me, I feel like your Heineken Vietnam is trying to create a cycle where everything is sustainable and it's safe. You know, you not only care about what you're putting in, but what you also getting out also, right? And it's just amazing. Yeah. Right. But coming back to all this aspect that you told me that Heineken Vietnam is trying to tackle. Yeah. Why do you choose these aspects, if I may ask? Yeah,
so I think that goes back to like why is it important for our products? Why is it important for our business? But we also look, so each year we really look about what do our stakeholders care about. So we really ask, what do you find important for Heineken to be tackling? Of course, things like responsible drinking will always come up. So we also ask people what they want us to focus on. We do risk assessments, of course. So it's really linked then to the business model. Like I said, we don't do completely random projects. It really has to be linked and make business sense. And we try and find win-win scenarios as well, where it's good for us, it's good for society, and we find the sort of win-win. But we are beer makers, so we need to find good partners. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned along the way is we're not experts in all the topics. We need to find the right partners to work with, to join us on the journey and use their expertise and work together with them. So it's not something that we do alone, for sure. Yeah. It's really like a collaborative effort. And I think moving forward, these sort of public partnerships are something that will become more and more as well.
Okay. When you mentioned these words like stakeholder, partners and stuff, it makes me feel like this is not something that, this is not just a hobby. Like this is not only takes commitment, but it's also investing in it, right? Totally. So, do you think that Heineken, like how is Heineken, investing in all of these, so it can be really, you're doing it for the long run kind of thing, not just, a day or two, right?
Yeah, correct. It's not like, okay, I think of a project, I do it in 2 months and boom, I finished, and I met my KPI. Sustainability is really long term. Exactly. You need to have like long term vision, long term commitments. And even when the business goes up, the business goes down, you need to stay really strong on that, right? So actually Heineken Global announced, even during the COVID time, some really big ambitions. So for 2030, so not far away, to be honest, they said we want to be completely renewable energy, right? We want to have net zero impact.
Yes.
Which means all of our breweries need to run on renewable energy by 2030. Some of those places, we don't have the solutions yet, but we have the commitment, the vision to do it. And in Vietnam, we want to go quicker. We want to do it by 2025. We also announced that by 2040, we want to be carbon neutral through the whole value chain. Through the value chain means from our agriculture to our suppliers, to our distributors, to the retailers. And that's, for all of them to achieve it will be very difficult.
Yeah.
So firstly, you need long-term vision, long-term commitment, and you need to stay on that. But you're right, it does take investment. We do need to prioritize investments. Sometimes it's win-win. Actually, sometimes doing something sustainably can be even more affordable. And that's the kind of the best examples.
Yes.
Like, for example, our bottles, right?
Yeah.
They are returnable. We use them, on average, if you go to a bar and you order a Tiger in a bottle, it's going to be in a returnable system. So it will be used about 30 times.
Okay.
And then once it's damaged and it can't be used anymore, it will get melted back into glass and used again.
Okay.
So like you said, it's a circular model, but actually financially a circular system as well.
Yeah.
But it does take investment. Things like our partnership on water, that is an investment. And we made a big announcement for our 30th anniversary, we were going to commit 30 billion Vietnamese dong towards it. That's just something that we want to do because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So you're right, it is about commitment, but it is about investment and assessing it along the way. And as long as you've got a leadership and a company that's committed to it, you can do it. But I do know, actually, I get asked the question a lot, what about for SMEs? It's very difficult then for small businesses sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're a big company, you have all this money, you have all these resources that you can invest in. But how about, all those small
companies?
Yeah.
So I always, you really need to just start small, kind of step by step.
Okay.
But sometimes I think SMEs, I don't know about you, but I see a lot of SMEs and companies, they are small. It makes them be very agile, very innovative. A lot of them have got a lot of the things that came up during COVID were sort of eco models by their nature, or returnable things, and I think SMEs are quite clever on this kind of thinking.
Okay.
Let's see. I think SMEs are got challenges, but also opportunities to be honest.
I see. What I'm, for such a big corporate like Heineken Vietnam, I have a feeling like aren't all like huge corporates like that. They're all about money making kind of thing. So when you choose investing, obviously you're spending money on this. When you choose investing in sustainability, what do the stakeholders say? Do they, because at the end of the day you're gonna make money, right? So spending money on this, what do you feel about that? Does it make sense?
Yeah. So of course, all companies want to grow.
Exactly.
Right? But we're all people. At the end of the day, companies are run by people, and we all don't want to leave any harm on this earth, and we don't want to destroy the earth in the process of growing a company, right? So I think that is how we're really looking to our future: is how do we grow, but how do we reduce the impact down to zero? Which is the challenge. But how do people react when we do it? I think it's what we see is it's expected by society, and we want to do it, and it can become like a real advantage. So for example, we've been recognized for the last 6 years by VCCI as the top 3 most sustainable companies.
Yes.
That's a big recognition. But I also, when I speak to a lot of our new hires, our young people coming into our company, a lot of them know our sustainability reputation, our sustainability agenda, and that's part of the reason they're proud to join.
Okay.
So those are kind of intangible things that you can't put a financial value on, but it is making us an attractive company. It does show that we, not just here, it's not just about money. It's really about how you contribute, how you want to be as a company, how you want to behave. And we want to always be a responsible investor, a responsible company, and to do the right things. And I think you can't put a value on that.
So the consumer is starting to see you as a company that cares.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
And I think consumers, that's the next, so we really want it to be like, in the West, people are, really buying sustainable brands, and there's a real movement around it. I think it's starting to come in Vietnam. We have a lot of people who are now much more environmentally aware in the younger generation.
For sure.
And so you will start to see, I think, that brands, not just the corporates, but the brands will start to really become much more purposeful, meaningful. With our Heineken brand, actually, we have a kind of a goal to be a little bit greener every day. So how we brew it, how the ingredients we use, how we recycle it. And that will start becoming more and more of our story as well. So I think brands and consumers are the next level, not just corporates and stakeholders. You know, that's where I think the future of sustainability is.
Okay.
And consumers can have the biggest change. You know, they are the ones that drive the change. If they really, you know, crave sustainable products, it will come.
What are some of the other changes that the consumer, you know, really push you into doing it? Like, kind of, what's the behavior, you know, that you see that, okay, consumer are now starting to care more about the environment that we need to change too, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, I think luckily our products are not in plastic. But you can see, you know, the plastic, it's such a dilemma because plastic is so affordable, it's so flexible. I mean, really, it's amazing. and that's it's so convenient. And I think that's the challenge. But it takes a lot of guts here, you know, to say in a shop, no, I don't want the plastic cup or I don't want the plastic straw. But you start to see a lot of companies, you know, changing their straws to the paper straws. Okay, it's a small example. For us, what it would be about is really, you know, when we do events, you know, how do we make sure that if we did a huge big music event, for example, how do we make sure everything is done as sustainably as possible or recycled as much as possible? Cans are very highly recycled, so that's because they got a very high value. But we see, the bottles, like I was explaining, that returnable bottle system. You know, so if you are a sustainably conscious consumer, choose a bottle would be my advice, because then you are really going back into that circular loop. But it's something we need to explain, you know, it's not easy to make a sort of very attractive advertising explaining all these things, but we need to start, because then people can make conscious choices and their actions will guide us the way forward as well.
So since you've been investing a lot and you caring a lot about, you know, sustainability, have you started seeing rewards, you know, coming kind of thing?
Yeah, so aside from, I think, the recognitions, which is always very nice, but that's not the reason that we primarily do it. And the feedback we get and the you know, people coming to our company, I think that there can be sometimes some financial benefits. And I think that's why if you look at that circular model, it can be interesting. So another one is, you know, there's a lot of agricultural materials that go into producing beer. It's made from barley or wheat or rice. And after we do that in the brewing process, you get left with sort of a lot of mulchy grains, let's call it like this, right? We call them spent grains. So these actually have a lot of nutritious value in. And for many years, it's been known that they can be then resold and repurposed for, could be cattle feed, it could go into making new materials, and we actually sell those. So there is a sort of, you know, when there's value in the system of waste, you can create value as well. And actually, in our breweries, we have 6 breweries, and we don't send anything to landfill. Nothing.
How?
So everything has a value. So when there's a value, it's like, you know, all of our cans are recycled because people want the aluminium. There's a value to it. So when waste has a value, you can really make these circular models, and then you can start seeing the benefits, not just from the environment, but sometimes financially too in that loop. And you can work with partners, and they can take your waste to the next level. So I think that's what we're starting to see more and more. And I think that's exciting, because sometimes, you know, with waste, you don't have the solution now, but people are becoming more and more innovative with what you can do with waste materials. And I think that's a big movement for the future as well. Yeah,
that's usually something that people don't often see, meaning that they don't see the financial benefits, you know, in sustainability. So in our last words, what would you tell to people that, so between a money-making model and then the model that you care about more about the environment, what would you tell them, you know, just to sort of convince them that, hey, there are some benefits here that you can do, you know, when it involves sustainability too?
Yeah, okay, so I think the first thing is to really look deep into your sort of your core and your values, right? You know, Heineken, one of ours is respect for people and planet. So it doesn't matter if you're making $1 billion, $1 billion, $1. It should be very close to who do you want to be as a company, right? And like I said, during COVID, it was tough, but you still stay with that. That's your value. That's who you are.
Yeah.
So I think all businesses, big or small, have to look inside. Who do we want to be and how do we want to act in good times and bad times?
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, I think it's you've got to start. Like sustainability in some ways is like, it's the unknown. We all know that we don't want the climate to get worse, that we want to make it better. How are we going to do it? Sometimes you don't know. You have to start step by step, small by small, and you'll start to see the benefits. So it doesn't matter if you're a big company, small company, put one foot forward is in front of the other, and find people who can join you on that journey, because you're definitely not going to be able to do it alone. Find people, find best practices, learn from people. I always talk about in sustainability, when I go to conferences and stuff, present about the challenges. And then you'll find people, oh, I have the same problem, or I've got the same challenge. Okay, and then you can start sharing ideas. So find the right people to join you on your journey. But I do think at the end of the day, go back to who do you want to be?
Yes.
And
you really
go for
are.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Holly, today. Thank you here, for sitting down and broke it down to me what sustainability really means. And after knowing how sustainable Heineken Vietnam is, I for sure will continue drinking these one more.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks so much.